Hey guys, welcome to Rock Solid Sports. I'm Morgan Hoover and I'm here with Cody McClure and Sumner Gillum, and we're talking about this Saturday's game against North Texas. Guys, what are your thoughts on the ball game this weekend?
Well, it should be a blowout. It's going to be a blowout, and you're going to see a lot of future players playing who haven't really been on the field much this season. The second string is going to get a lot of quality time, I believe. North Texas, they're 1-8. They lost to an FCS team in Portland State, 66-7, which led to the firing of their coach. Tennessee's on the interim part of their schedule. Sean Elliott now, some coach I really don't know. But you should expect to see a lot of young, talented players.
Sumner's right. There's just not a lot to see in this game. North Texas has got a couple of playmakers, and they've been playing better since firing their coach after the loss to Portland State. But they just don't have the depth nor the firepower to stay in this game with Tennessee. The spread on this one is up to 41 for good reason. Tennessee taking on a team who just hasn't had much momentum going all season. They've only got one win on their schedule, and they've lost to some really bad opponents. Got blasted last week by Louisiana Tech. So I look to see Tennessee to cover the spread and win this game big. Not a lot to see this weekend on homecoming.
Right, so we talked a little bit about the players. What are some key players to watch during this ball game?
My key player is freshman John Kelly. I believe he is going to have a great running game. He'll probably be in around the second quarter. Back in the Kentucky game, he showed in garbage time he's a really good playmaker. He can do some really great runs, has great power, great speed. So I expect a lot from him this game.
For me, it's Quentin Dormady, quarterback. A lot of Vols fans have been wanting to see Dormady for quite a while now. He's, especially with Josh Dobbs' inaccuracies throwing down the field at times, people want to see Dormady. They're finally going to get to see him. It's not going to be against a very good opponent, but what I'm looking for him to do is to come out and have a nice completion percentage, toss a couple of touchdown passes, just kind of show us a little bit about what he's capable of for down the road if Dormady were to win the starting job next year. So I'm looking to see how Quentin Dormady performs against a defense that's just not very good.
Right, so with that, what do you think Tennessee has to do to win this game on Saturday?
Take care of business.
Right.
Get out to a fast start. Don't let North Texas hang around. Don't blow 3-possession lead, 4-possession lead, however many. Just get the job done. Get your first strings out of there so you're not risking injury. And give some quality playing time for your reserves who need it. Quentin Dormady needs it. With one play, Dobbs could go down. And you rely on Dormady for the rest of the season.
The Vols have just got to come out, execute the game plan. Butch Jones has his game plan. They're going to stick to it. They'll have no problem blowing this game open. Even Tennessee won't be able to mess up the lead they get in this game. It's just not a good team. They're not as good as Western Carolina. Tennessee won that game by 45 points. I look to see this being a high-scoring affair for the Volunteers. No chance for North Texas in this game.
So if we win this game on Saturday, that'll put us at 6 wins. What are some bowl predictions that y'all have?
I'm going with the Outback Bowl, Tampa Bay. I think it's a very attractive bowl game for both Tennessee and for the Outback Bowl to bring in Tennessee. I also look for a team like Michigan to also play the Vols in the game. I think that would be a very attractive game for a lot of audiences. Tennessee Volunteer fans are really good at traveling to bowl games. You saw last year at the Taxslayer Bowl against in Jacksonville. So I expect the Outback to have some interest in Tennessee.
I actually agree with Sumner on this one. A lot of people kind of think that Tennessee's looking at the Music City Bowl or the Belk Bowl. But I'll tell you what, the way that Vol fans travel, it's a really attractive team to get into a bowl game. Most bowl committees, bowl officials know that. Tennessee's played in the Outback Bowl before, so I like them to get to Tampa if they get to 8 wins. I could see Tennessee getting there to the Outback Bowl, but I've got them playing Wisconsin right now. I think the Badgers will beat Northwestern this weekend. Should put them in good shape to win out and go 10-2. They'll end up second in their division in the Big Ten. A couple of top-tier / middle-of-the-road teams out of the SEC and Big Ten. I think it makes for a great matchup. Remember, in 2007, the Vols beat Wisconsin in the Outback Bowl, 21-17.
So moving on from that, let's talk about some other games we got going on this weekend. We have Baylor, Oklahoma. What are your predictions for that?
Baylor has had, let's be honest, an easy schedule up to this point. I think they're ranked 94th in strength of schedule. I think they really haven't played anybody with a winning record. And so I'm really interested to see they have a freshman quarterback, Jarrett Stidham, I believe is his name, who's kind of fresh meat for this Oklahoma defense. I kind of expect Oklahoma to win this game. I'm predicting a score around 34-27.
You know, the Big 12 has one thing going for it. They're not in the playoff right now. They think they're being disrespected. But the way that the schedule sets up, it's loaded on the back end. They all have to play each other. If Baylor goes undefeated, they will be in the college football playoff because that's going to require them to beat Oklahoma this weekend, Oklahoma State, and TCU still. So they'll get there. They don't have to worry about that. They just need to keep winning. But you're right. Seth Russell went down. They've got a young quarterback. I think this will be the best defense that he has seen so far. I still see this being a high-scoring game, but I'm going with Sumner. I like the Sooners in this game to get the job done. Bob Stoops' seat will cool down quite a bit after this one. High-scoring game, though. I'm taking OU 41-38.
Okay. So also this week we have Memphis and Houston. We've seen Memphis do very well recently. What are your thoughts on that?
Memphis, they struggled against a good Navy team. Rightfully now, Navy is in the top 25. Houston's also a very, very good team. You saw what they did to Vanderbilt's defense, 34-0. I'm taking actually Houston in this game. I believe Houston will just come out and dominate Memphis. I think Memphis has had a good run, and rightfully so. They deserve to be in the top 25, but I don't see Houston losing this game, especially when they're undefeated and looking maybe to surprise some people in the college football playoffs.
I actually like Memphis to bounce back here after the loss to Navy. I think Navy's a very good football team. Outside of one pretty close loss to Notre Dame, Navy could be right on the cusp of being that a college football playoff contender. I mean, they've beaten some good teams this year. So I really like Memphis to bounce back. I think Paxton Lynch will be able to get it going against a Houston defense that has not impressed me much to this point. They did shut out Vanderbilt 34-0, but I think Memphis has the edge. I like their quarterback better, and I think it's time for Houston to take a loss. Memphis will bounce back strong. Score prediction, let's go Memphis 28-24.
And also this weekend we have Bama and Mississippi State. I'm really interested to see how that goes over. What are your thoughts?
Well, the key to that game is, of course, Dak Prescott. What's he going to do against a really great Bama defense? You saw what they did to Leonard Fournette. At one point, it was 14 carries, 14 yards, which is ridiculous for someone who's considered the top Heisman candidate, probably one of the best running backs in the last decade. And so it's really going to be interesting to see how Bama's defense game plans against a really dual-threat quarterback in Dak Prescott, who's on the verge of joining the 40-40 club with only 2 more rushing touchdowns. And so you saw what Josh Dobbs kind of did to Bama, not as damaging as Tennessee would have liked. But Mississippi State has a weapon in Dak Prescott, so I got to go with the Bama defense. I think they're going to do a great job. I got Bama 30, Mississippi State 26.
There's a formula to beating Alabama, and to do it, you've got to have a quarterback who can run, and more importantly, a quarterback who can throw. The game has evolved more and more into a quarterback-centered game. Alabama's still winning games with a solid running back, an offensive line, and a great defense. But if you look at who Alabama has played to this point, they have not seen a quarterback nearly as talented as Dak Prescott is. Prescott will give Alabama's defense fits in this game. This is going to be a close game, and it's in Starkville. So I'm going to go bold here. Not only does Mississippi State cover the spread, they beat Alabama at home, knocking the Crimson Tide out of playoff contention. Mississippi State over Alabama in this game, 34-27.
That guy Stingray is going to definitely like you if he sees this video.
Absolutely.
So going off of that, we talked about these games. Let's go on to college playoffs. What do we think is going to go on with that?
I like how the College Football Playoff Committee has ranked at this point. I do think that Baylor has been placed right. They haven't really played anybody. They haven't showed the committee that they can play with tough teams. And so I definitely think they got the top 4 right. I thought it was interesting they put Iowa at number 5. I kind of thought Oklahoma State would make that jump after beating TCU. But I think they're getting it right now. We'll see later on as the Big 12 gets interesting with all those top teams playing each other in a 4-week span, what the committee is going to do and how they're going to view who comes out on top.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. First of all, Iowa's a joke. They're going to get knocked out. Ohio State's going to hammer them in the title game if they get there. So I'm not worried about Iowa. The interesting thing for me is the fact that if Alabama gets there, which I'm saying they won't, obviously, but if they get there, or if Florida somehow beats them in the championship game, or maybe if LSU wins out and things fall right. Those are the three SEC teams that can still get in. Everybody else pretty much mathematically eliminated. It's going to be interesting to watch Notre Dame as an independent. How does the committee weigh them? We saw the Big 12 get left out last year. At this point, it's kind of looking like that could happen again. Also, Clemson. Do they take a loss anywhere? The way their schedule sets up, I think Clemson wins out, Clemson's in. If Ohio State wins out, Ohio State is in. I think there's a chance the SEC could be left out if you have a two-loss champion. Other than that, though, I don't think the Pac-12 is getting in. I like Notre Dame, and I really like that Big 12 champion to get in. Same with the SEC if they don't have a couple of losses. The SEC and Big 12 are in a similar scenario right now where I think they could beat up on each other, and your champion might have two losses. Also, one more team to watch, Stanford. They'll have basically an elimination game with Notre Dame coming up here in a couple of weeks. So it's going to be fun to see how it plays out.
All right, well, thank you guys. Don't forget to tune in to Rock Solid Sports Mondays and Fridays at 7 p.m. And the game will be broadcast on SEC Network. Kickoff is at 12 p.m., I believe.
That is correct.
Noon.
All right,